All right, this is going to be a fun one. I'm 38 years old, so it's not that often that I get to speak as a 16-year expert on something. But by my math, that's how long I've been doing this. I've been drug across the country over the last, you know, 10 years as a contractors and owners more or less consultant on heavy civil projects. That means heavy dirt work, heavy concrete, and heavy duty paving. And my job has always been to make sure the work is being done properly in such a way that engineers don't have to come back later. Now, dude, you sell grain bins, what are you talking about? The more I look around, especially at older bins, and I'm kind of a critic, I like to look at things and figure out what could have been done better. Even if it's my own work, I like to go back and double check myself. But I'm seeing a lot of bins that have failed because of foundations, in my opinion, because of foundations. But I'm also talking to a lot of farmers that have bins that should be under a warranty period that are having problems. They're not getting fixed under warranty. So let's dive into one of the areas that I know a lot about that happens to be the foundation, because once you put a bin up, that foundation is the strongest part. It's the most important part, because this is my piggy bank grain bin, but the foundation is what's holding all this weight. I sound rich with that much coin jangling around in there. So if you have a weak foundation and that bin starts doing this as it settles, you're going to have issues all over the place. So there's two issues that go into a foundation. Normally you have the PSF, the bearing capacity of your soil, the dirt, and then you have the strength of the concrete. Well, this video, I want to cover the dirt really quick. PSF is the bearing capacity of the dirt. That references, if I took a 12-inch by 12-inch block of concrete and set it flat on the ground, if it weighs 4,000 pounds, it's not going to affect that dirt. It's not going to sink. It's not going to cause deflections anywhere else on the ground. The ground's going to hold that 4,000 pound block over a square foot area. So, but if I were to take that same block out to a normal farm field where we assume, based on a lot of reference data points, that really good farmland has a bearing capacity of about 1,500 pounds per square foot, that block's going to sink a few inches in the dirt. And hopefully I can dig it back out before it goes too far. So there's always been this truth that really good farmland is terrible building land, really good building land, terrible farming land. So every manufacturer has what I consider to be their minimum required foundation designs. And some of them actually say these are for estimating only. Some of them don't say anything. They just show a picture and it gets built. But the reason I wish they wouldn't show those is most resellers and contractors, I'm a reseller, that's what I want to focus on. I can send a concrete contractor out, no problem, to build a bin foundation, but just more headaches on my part. But most people and companies in my industry, when they go build a foundation, they will build the absolute minimum, and they're going to build it on hard ground that's only hard because it's clay that's been baking in the sun. Very rarely is that dirt going to hold what an engineer would say it needs to hold. So I'll give you an idea. The last two bins I built were in Mississippi. And when I sold the bins to the owner, I also had a geotech engineer go get some soil borings. I had a structural engineer analyze those borings and tell me what else the owner would have to do to give us a strong enough site to build these bins on. So sent everything to the owner. I sent them designs. They had a dirt company come in. They had a concrete company come in. We unloaded bins. The bins went up. Everything is beautiful now. But we had engineers all the way through giving me advice on exactly what needed to be done to make sure these bins don't settle. So several other manufacturers that have their own minimum recommendations, they probably are going to start regretting posting those at some point because they're getting followed when they shouldn't. And to the reseller, if your bin fails and I sold it to you, I'm the one that's going to have to come out and try my best to make it a warranty issue. But that's not always possible, and I'll tell you why. What I say, good farmland has a bearing capacity of about 1,500 pounds per square foot. Let's see. I've got information in front of me from 4 different manufacturers. I'm not going to name them because screw them. I don't sell their stuff. But 2 of the manufacturers, 4,000 PSF, and one of those says sufficient soil borings recommended. 2 more say 3,000 PSF. One of them says geotech investigation, soil borings recommended. Another one says 3,000 PSF is estimating data. And that company also puts very clearly sole responsibility on customer to obtain actual engineered foundation drawings. And I know for a fact some of that company's resellers don't ever do that. They just take the basic foundation and build it on probably 1,500 to 2,000 PSF soil that best case is just a little over half as strong as it needs to be. Now, here's another thing. Of those 4 manufacturers I went down, 2 of them, and Chief will say the same thing because I double checked with them, will say your maximum settlement, uneven settlement. So this bin, we all agree, bins go on flat ground. If this bin starts to settle to one side or another side, doesn't matter. If it just starts to settle uneven, if from this side of the foundation to this side of the foundation, when I shoot a laser level across them, is more than a 2-inch difference, you're out of warranty. And you may not even realize it because 2 inches over a 50-foot slab is kind of hard to notice to the naked eye unless you're really good and really experienced at doing that. But max uneven settlement, Winfield, 1.5 to 2 inches within the warranty. Allowed settlement, 1.5 to 2 inches. That's 2 other manufacturers aside from mine. And some manufacturers don't put any of this info in their manuals, so I couldn't really dig them up and do some research. But when you are getting ready to make your next bin purchase, whether you want to build an all-new facility, whether you want to just add on to what you have, it's extremely cheap to clear off the land and call a local geotech engineering lab, have them send a technician out with a penetrometer, dynamic cone penetrometer, to check the soil bearing that you're building on. Really easy to do, probably cost you maybe 2 hours worth of their time, less than a couple $100. And I would recommend dig a hole a foot deep and test it again. Because when we look at ground and that ground is really solid, it's really hard, yeah, we can build on it. What if we dig out a foot of that dirt for a footing? Is the bottom of that footing going to rest on the same quality, the same strength of dirt? Probably not. So have a technician come out and do that. You might also have them pull some samples and take some compression tests in their lab. But say the cost of 2 grain bins plus I want to spitball this. Say the cost of 2 standard size farm bins, $70,000 a piece. That's $140,000. You're going to spend $30,000 on a foundation for each of them, so that's $60,000. That's $200,000. The wiring of them, I know, is going to cost you about $70,000 to $75,000. So you're looking at, say, $250,000, $250,000 for 2 farm bins. It would cost you probably about $4,000, maybe up to $8,000, depends how many borings you get, to have a geotech engineer come do soil borings and tell you exactly what you're building on top of. And then you can send that to an engineer. Might cost another $5,000, but a geotech engineer may be able to give you a foundation design if for a basic farm bin, flat foundation. But $7,000 divided by what I say, $250,000, 2.8% of your project cost would go into soil borings. I think you can justify that extra 2.8%. So it's not unreasonable to ask your bin seller or if you're hiring the contractor yourself to do the foundation, to ask them to give you an actual foundation design. And if they just take a piece of paper and sketch a design and hand it to you, you should be able to go to the bin manual online or call the manufacturer and say, I have a question, will this work? It's not unreasonable because it's your money. So, I mean, if you ask me, yes, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I want to sell you that bin at my markup. I'm not going to tell you what my markup is, but I want to sell you that bin as a dealer and get money off of it. So I will give you whatever information it takes. But I have so many competitors, I know this because I quit 2 of them, that build everything the cheapest way possible when it comes to foundations. They follow those They follow the minimum requirements. They use the weakest concrete they can get away with. And I know this because I used to design their foundations, and then I'd have to go back and they would ask me to modify their designs to create as-built drawings based on what they actually built, not what I estimated, not what I promised the client. I got mad, quit, that's why I do it myself. So I would rather keep working at a disadvantage to letting them do that, because eventually it's going to come back and bite them. I don't want it to come back and bite you. I don't want to have to come out and get in a legal fight with some manufacturer trying to help any farmer out there. And hey, I'll do this for anybody because I like to fight. But I don't want to have to argue with you as the farmer, as the bin owner, about whether your bin's failing is a warranty issue or not. So pay careful attention to the foundation. Make sure it's right. It doesn't cost that much to get it right before you build a bin on it. That's all I got. Next video is going to have something to do with the concrete. Haven't quite figured it out yet, so stay tuned. And, well, good luck.